Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to this 15th of July 2025 Oberon Council meeting. This meeting will be live streamed via Team webinar facilities. Recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. This meeting is being recorded and will be made publicly available on the Council's website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Whose acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug peoples and respects the culture and history of elders both past and present. Prayer, I'd ask Janet Clayton to provide the prayer this evening and ask you to be upstanding.
Pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
And Father, as we come to this meeting tonight, these people who are here gathered together to do the work of the Oberon Council, Father, I just ask that you be with them, be here present in this room. And Father, I just ask that as they consider the work that they're doing tonight, that you might give them wisdom and confidence, and remind them, Father, that they are here to serve the people of Oberon. And we pray, Father, that they will deliver the things that you have for the Oberon town, and we just ask your blessing on each and every one of them here tonight. And I just pray this, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. On attendance, I note that all councillors are present, except Councillor McCarthy, that's leave of absence, and that Councillor Frank O'Connor is attending by teams. I also note in respect to the staff members, Matt Webb, the Corporate Services Director, cannot be here, and Zoe Marks is standing in for him, and Dr. Cornelia Weibels, Technical Services Director, is also not present, and Jeff Patton is attending in her stead. Could I have someone to move that those the leave of absence and the attendance by audio visual be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Trimbarth, Councillor Alevers. Thank you. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 5 is declarations of interest. Are there any pecuniary or non-pecuniary declarations of interest by councillors? If not, then I'll move on to item 6, presentations. I know there are no presentations. And item 7, questions from the public. The public gallery is open to members of the community. The community is given the opportunity to ask questions at the commencement of the council meetings. And the mayor is to ask questions from the gallery prior to commencement of the ordinary meeting, which I'm doing now. Members of the public wishing to address council permitted to do so, provided the following guidelines are adhered to. 1, the person asking a question at the council meeting must clearly state their name and in what capacity they are asking or acting. 2, if the person asking the question is acting as another person / organisation's agent, they must advise council if they have their prior consent or authority. 3, questions must be no longer than 3 minutes per speaker due to the time constraints. I remind members of the public that questions are not an opportunity to debate with elected representatives or staff. This is an opportunity for the community to ask a question in relation to an issue or put a point of view relating to an issue that may be causing interest or concern. All questions and comments must be directed through me as the mayor, and in the instance of a question, if it cannot be answered, it will be taken on notice and a response given within a reasonable period will be provided at the next available council meeting. This is the only opportunity for community members to address council during an ordinary meeting. Are there any questions from the public tonight? There are no questions from the public. Item 8 is confirmation of minutes. Item 8.1 is the ordinary meeting of the 17th of June 2025. The recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 17th of June 2025 be confirmed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Graham, thank you. And it's as per the recommendation. Councillor Graham, thank you. Any other discussion on those? If not, I put the motion that those minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 17th of June 2025 be confirmed. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Item 8.2 is the extraordinary meeting of the 30th of June 2025. The recommendation is that the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 30th of June 2025 be confirmed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Leverest. Councillor Tucker, thank you.
As per recommendation.
As per recommendation, motion. Thank you, Councillor Tucker.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Right, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Go to item 9.1. Mayoral Minute Report for July 2025. Recommendation is that the report item 9.01 is received as information. I move the motion as per the recommendation. Second, please. Councillor Trembar, thank you. I think the minute speaks for itself.
It does, thank you. Very detailed and more than enough information, thank you.
Any other discussion on this matter? Councillor Leverest, yes.
Well, just a question, Mr. Mayor. I do find the report fairly succinct, actually. But 23rd of June 2025, you had a discussion with Wellington Shire Council over the SDP. What did you learn from that?
Okay, so what we received, and I can't recall whether this was the first one or the second one, we received two documents from the Wellington Shire Council. They initially gave us an overview, and I went back to the general manager and said, look, I don't think this is enough. And it was provided, but remember, I think we discussed that the current general manager of Wellington was going to Snowy Mountains. So she issued this quickly before she went, but she gave us a contact person to contact and get further information. So we got further information, and I'm quite happy with this further information. Was that circulated? I can't recall whether it was circulated.
Certainly to the
steering. It was circulated to the steering committee. I'm not sure that went more widely, but we can distribute it more widely. It had the operating costs, and the operating costs have come down over time because they've put in mitigating measures. But initially it did look quite dramatic, but they have managed by a whole number of measures to reduce the operation of that sewage treatment plant. Quite happy to put it on the board. Thank you. Yeah, put it on the board. That's what it is. Yeah, but I think councillors should look at it.
Yeah.
I looked at it in some detail. Initially I was a little bit alarmed, but then I saw the costs. They'd done a whole lot of mitigating measures to bring the costs down.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about it, but yeah, put it on the report. Anything else? All right. I put the motion as per the recommendation on 9.1. All in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. 9.2. Recommendation is that a performance review panel consistent with the Office of Local Government Guidelines under Section 23A of the Local Government Act be established. The performance review panel, including the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Council nominated by Council and a Council nominated by the General Manager together with an external facilitator. 3, subject to availability, Council engages the service to seek solutions to implement a training program for the performance review committee members of the facility, the performance review process. Member, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Graham.
I'm happy to move it in all 3 parts. I probably had one slight amendment that councillor nominated by councillor, perhaps we could include that to be one of the 3 new councillors to give it a little bit of a fresh eye. That was the only thing that I'd add. I participated in both types of reviews with all and with a panel, and the panel is much more effective and it still allows for all other councillors to have their input into the review. So that's why I'm supporting this recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Yes, I've been involved in the 2 different types of review panels, and the committee of as described there is much more effective. the whole of council is very unwieldy and takes a long time, but councillors who aren't in the committee still have the opportunity to put in their thoughts, and it is always taken into account.
I have received confirmation today, if I just can, that SIG Solutions is available to conduct the review. Councillor Takeoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment, please, which is that this matter be deferred to the August ordinary meeting.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Second, Councillor Lucas.
Yes.
All right, and that's, okay, and speak to it, please.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is to be fair and reasonable to Councillor McCarthy, who is absent today, of course. I know when councillors are absent, particularly a planned absence, you miss out on dealing with matters that come before the council on that occasion. But in this instance, it's a topic that Councillor McCarthy has spoken to on a number of occasions in the past, and has a different view on how the panel should be made up, and I largely agree with those views. And I just want to give him the opportunity to put his case again before we make that decision. I don't think there are any particular time constraints. I know that August will be the anniversary of the last review, but bear in mind that that was brought forward by several months. It was only 8 months after the review prior to that, which was in December of 23. So as far as I'm concerned, we still have a number of months to get this done and comply with the requirement to conduct an annual review. The other reason I would like to have Councillor McCarthy here is that if this is the model that we end up with, then I would plan to nominate Councillor McCarthy to be on that panel. At the moment, I don't know if he would accept, but if he does, and if he does end up being the selected councillor, then nothing could commence with either the training of the panel members or conducting the review until he's back anyway. So I don't think a month's delay to make the decision on the makeup of the panel will cause any detriment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I guess in the same sort of spirit of fairness and consistency, I requested that my notice of motion be deferred for the next ordinary council meeting to ensure Councillor McCarthy's involvement. He's not a new councillor, like he's been here for 30 years. He still deserves that respect, I think.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I support Councillor Tucker's motion. I believe it's extremely important that all councillors are present to make that decision.
Any further discussion? Can we put the motion up on the screen, please, and the amendment up on the screen? Is there anything? No. This one. Okay. I put the amendment that this matter be deferred to the August ordinary meeting. All in favour? Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Leveris. Okay, I declare the amendment lost. So we go back to the original motion. One thing I need to clarify, councillor Graham, were you happy with the slight amendment? Councillor Cobar?
Yes, that's fine, but I think it would probably happen anyway. Somehow.
So how to word that in there?
No,
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 it just needs to be there.
I moved the, as it was, so council can decide who is, so
Still nominate.
that's a suggestion.
Yeah.
So we probably need to go.
No, so you can. I don't. You just. That's all. So that's all. Yes, it's gonna be. Let it on this one. You, I should know that you well.
Yes, but it's a council nominated by council.
Yeah.
We have to go into close it.
You can, if you want to.
So, I suggest we go into a committee of the whole. Could someone move to go into a committee of the whole to determine which council will be appointed or not?
Well,
I have an amendment.
there's further debate to go yet before we put.
All right, further debate, fine. Yes, councillor.
I would like to move an amendment, please.
Yes,
That number one, the performance review panel be established, same as what's there. Number two, that council source an appropriate, hold on. Where am I? That part one stay the same. Part two, the performance review panel include all councillors. Change the word to all councillors. Together with an external facilitator. And three, source a new, hold on, a new external facilitator to be engaged to deliver training to the panel and conduct the general manager's performance review.
you have a second then? Councillor Everest? Okay. Councillor Hayden?
Yes, the reason is, we did have all council previously. And it then was changed to a panel of four. I don't believe that the panel of four, was really, workable and was done efficiently. The notification that councillors got when the last review was being done was a very short time frame for anyone to get anything done and get everything filled out accordingly. Kath Roach, who was the then facilitator, had even apologised. She was sorry for the short notice, but I don't believe that it was efficient, and I don't believe that a panel of four is the right way to go. I would like to have all of council engaged. And I would like to see a new external facility. I do actually have a list of 5 if you do require any to go through.
Just a procedural. So under 23A of the guidelines, it does recommend the panel.
I
And
read
your,
23A, it can be a panel or it can be all.
it's a
It
panel.
can be a panel
The
or all.
The council can elect to do that.
Yeah.
Right, so 23A says the panel.
Can
Your
be
section
all.
section two of that, you've said you want all of it.
Mm.
All I'm saying is that do you want to take the 23A?
You can take the 23A out, but the 23A still refers to a panel. It can be a panel of all councillors or a panel of 4. Take it out if you want to take it out, it doesn't matter.
Okay, councillor Hayden? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councillor Livers?
I just, believe in a collective decision-making process where every council should have an equal voice. While my interaction with the GM has been positive, others may not have the same experience. So, I think efficiency in the form of a smaller panel, should not come at the cost of inclusivity, especially in governance, I think. And when written submissions to you, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, from councils outside, cannot replace the direct voice or any robust discussions we may have. Just think, and also, the panel could unintentionally, diminish voices of councillors not included on the panel. So, which undermines the process of equal representation. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Councillor Tate?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am supporting the motion. I was involved in one review when it did consist of the whole of council, and I acknowledge that it was a fairly unwieldy, messy sort of process. However, in my view, the disadvantages of the panel outweigh that, because I don't think a panel of 4 accurately represents the range of views across the whole council, and I think we've seen that over the last couple of reviews. It's all very well to say that other councillors are able to put in comments and submissions, but I just don't believe that they carry the same weight as the opinions of those who are actually present at the review. And this is exactly the topic that Councillor McCarthy has talked about previously as well. As you know, even though I have presented submissions to both of the past reviews, I just don't accept that that has carried the same sort of weight. So I do think it is important that all councillors should be equally able to present their comments. I think there are ways of improving the process, such as providing some written comments in advance to try to speed up the actual review meeting itself. But yes, I certainly think that the whole of council should be on the panel, and I agree with Councillor Hayden that I'd like to see a new facilitator, as you and I have discussed previously. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councillor O'Connor?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a comment that may or may not be relevant. Being a new councillor at the beginning of our new council, there was an issue regarding a process that had taken place leading up to the last election. That be it as it may, not going into that, but it may be a means of bringing our council together in this situation, that if we do consider having all councillors involved, just maybe for this time around, even just considering how that matter was at hand during the last election, it just may be a means of us councillors getting along a lot better. That's all. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Right to reply?
Yes, the panel is effective, works well. All of council was. Sorry.
You're all right to reply, sorry. I thought we were
Speak.
You're right. Do you want to speak or not?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, the panel is very effective. It's worked several times. The first time when we did everyone in the room, it wasn't effective. It was actually long, unwieldy, and didn't really, I think, achieve the outcome that we wanted. There is absolutely the opportunity for everyone to have their input, and it is considered an input into the actual review. So you're not disregarded. It's equal voice, exactly the same as when you're in the room. And I don't think that going back to that old way is going to achieve anything at all. Sync is a very good facilitator. We've had it several times, so I think she knows the council quite well. She understands us all and watches some of our meetings and knows how we work as well and how we interact with the general manager, and it's always not in his favour. But I do think this is the most effective way, and it does give an equal voice. And I have to say, people were given opportunity to provide input into this review, and nothing came through. So it's okay to say you want to have a view. Well, then take the time to complete the review process and ensure your voice is heard. I prefer this setup, and it works very well.
That's a great.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to speak against the amendment, but Councillor O'Connor hasn't been involved in this process before, and I hate to say it, but I don't think it will bring us together. I think it will probably divide. You weren't there for that one that we did as a council of the whole. It wasn't great. And so that's why I think the committee works so much better.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, thank you. I do believe that we need to do this part of our governance as a whole of the council. I understand that there was one review that was a little bit probably out of the norm, but I also think we also have to look at a new facilitator. It's okay for people to say they watch the meetings and they know the council. That's why we need a new direction. We need someone who doesn't know us. We need someone who has no associations with anybody in this room, and they are fully unbiased. And that's not saying anyone is biased. It's just saying we need some fresh new eyes and some fresh new input from a new person. And as Councillor Trembeth had mentioned, that people had the opportunity to write submissions to the last review process. I wrote quite a lengthy submission, and I know other councillors did too. So if no one had seen them, where on earth did they go? Because I know I was given 12 hours and I had to do mine in 12 hours.
Your
That-
input was in there.
Wait on. Remember?
And 12 hours is not enough time for any councillor to be doing a submission and then going through everything. We weren't supplied with what is normally supplied to councillors, with the general manager doing his section and councillors reading it. We had none of that for any of us that had to put submissions in. So I do believe that this needs to be a whole of council decision with a new facilitator. And that's all I have to say on it. And I do hope the new councillors can look to that, because this is another learning avenue for everyone as well. Thank you.
Right. I'll put the amendment as said on the screen. All in favour of the amendment? Councillor Everest, Hayden, Tucker. That's it. Okay.
It's just.
And against, please? Crenmarth, Graham, McKibben, Lee and O'Connor. I declare the amendment as failed. We go back to the original motion. Any further discussion on the original motion? Councillor.
I'd just like to again speak against particularly number 3, that I don't think we should be specifying sync solutions, but would still prefer to see a new facilitator. And for the reasons that Councillor Hayden has outlined, someone who we can be confident is totally impartial with very little previous association with Oberon Council. That's all. Thank you.
I did seek to see the availability of some others, and most ones I went to were unavailable. That was the problem. The period we're looking at. That's where I got to. Okay. I put the motion as per the original recommendation. All in favour? That's Trembath, McKibben, Graham, Lee and O'Connor. The motion passed. Um, 10, notice of motion, there are none. 11, councillor and delegates report. 11.1 is Country Mayors Association meeting the 9th of May 2025. Is the council receive and note the delegates report for 9th of May 2025 Country Mayors Association meeting. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, seconder, please. Councillor Tremba. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
I did attend this particular meeting and there was it was a really good meeting on health, and everybody talked about what they were doing to increase health services in regional areas. And there was a lot of things mentioned, but at the end, there was still problems. So I'll just mention one that was really interesting from Belgium. They had a hospital for a whole wing that was closed because they couldn't staff it. And so they decided they'd go into the community to get a solution. And they had a meeting and they had something like 130, 40 people there. And what they were trying to do was find a solution to the accommodation for health workers and other essential workers too. And they put it to the group, do you have any spare rooms or spare houses or whatever? And they got over 70 offers. And they've started putting people into these places so they can now open up the hospital wing. It came through from a lot of the speakers that it's not just the people who you're trying to bring in for a job, and it's the same here. It's their families. You've got to just not look at the job. It's jobs for the spouse, the grown-up children, whatever, and housing is really important. So you've got to look at sort of the whole living conditions, not just try and attract someone into the job. And I think we can learn from that too. That's what I got from that meeting.
Thank you. And yes, I read it with interest, and in particular the health focus. I've got a keen interest in health, in particular in our community. So it was good to see. There's lots of different communities experiencing very similar problems to each other, but that was an interesting sort of way. And I think Colombia is sort of trying to overcome some of those issues themselves with buying a house to have, for staff to live in and trying to develop that to support our community. It is a little bit more for the elderly, not directly for the hospital, but we do actually have that in our community as well. So I think that's quite a bonus of that. So thank you, Kate. It was a good report.
Further discussion, if not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you, carried unanimously. 11.2 Oberon Arts Council AGM and General Meeting. The recommendation is the council receive and note the delegates report for the Oberon Arts Council Annual General Meeting and General Meeting held on the 19th of June 2025. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Graham. Seconder, Councillor Tremba. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
I think the report and the attachments reflect what's happened at those meetings. Mainly their main concerns are over making the public artworks in the common, because a lot of effort went into that over many years and a lot of community input went into it. So the recommendation was to get a meeting with the general manager. I'm sure that will happen. If you want to look at what the Arts Council's been doing over the year, have a look at the President's report that's attached as well.
I think that's a good report, but nothing further to add. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I was just looking at the attached minutes there in point 6 about signage for the artworks. I just wanted to add probably a statement that when we had our 356 funding, I did push to get some further funding there, and I know that Councillor Graham, you were against that as well, but we've got to be a little bit more mindful to these projects that are in our common. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. In favour? Thank you. 11.3, it's a New South Wales Local Roads Congress 2025. The recommendation is the council receive and note the delegates report for the New South Wales Local Roads Congress 2025. Councillor Hayden, thank you. Councillor Olivers. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say to it. Thank you.
Councillor,
I mean, it's good to see that the government is looking to provide incentives to council, to embrace AI solutions to boost, I guess, operational efficiency. So that's what I got out of this report predominantly.
further discussion. Councillor Hayden, could I ask, on the reclassification, the simplified approach to road reclassification, and noting that obviously of importance to Oberon, can you give us a little bit more on that?
Not really, it just hasn't gone any further than it was last time. It was just the government discussion.
Okay, but
So there's been no decisions as to what they're doing. So probably if you speak to the minister, she might be able to give you some further input.
okay, because you said presented a simplified approach, so I was hoping that meant that there was a easier way for, say, Oberon to get its roads reclassified or something.
Maybe it's up to council to have the discussion with the relevant minister to keep pushing for it.
Okay. All right, I'll note that. Good. Any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. 12 committee reports, 12.1 of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting, 2nd of June 2025. Recommendation that council receive and note the minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 2nd of June 2025. Councillor Tucker? Seconder, please. Councillor Graham, thank you. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a lot of comment on the meeting or the minutes. I guess the particular point that I'm interested in is the second last point in the report itself about the plant utilisation audit. I don't know if that has been completed yet. I assume the final report will go to the next ARIC and then we'll see it after that. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see it, and that's all my comments.
So it will go to ARIC the next meeting and then it will come back to council.
Oh, that's my
So that'll
guess.
be about September, wouldn't it? That's right. About September. Okay, thank you. I'll look forward to seeing that. Thank you, Councillor Graham. Oh, sorry, you finished?
I've finished. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Councillor.
I don't have anything further to add. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else? Yes, Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, just under the general manager's update, point 4, progress of the new sewage treatment plant project. What progress is it?
Through the chair, Eric asked for the general manager to do an overview on the things that were currently in the space and what are the risks and the profile in that regard. And I did an overview of that to Eric, so that's why it's in there.
But it says progress, that's all.
Progress on where it was from 3 months ago.
Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as that in favour. Keep going. Unanimously. 12.2 Community Services Committee, 19th of June 2025. The recommendation is that Council 1, receive and note the minutes of the Community Services Committee held on 19th of June 2025. 2, endorse the revised draft terms of reference as considered. 3, endorse the committee's recommendations regarding the delivery of the community Carol's event in December 2025 and future event planning for the end of year spectacular in 2026 as outlined in the minutes. 4, endorse Sonia Cox as a member of the Community Services Committee. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, seconded. Councillor Hayden. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think 1, 2 and 4 are pretty straightforward. I'll just talk a little bit about the recommendation to basically not have an end of year spectacular this year. One reason is that the picnic that was on just a couple of months ago was a big success and encompassed quite a lot of the things that the spectacular does. So to have another one in December, sort of too repetitive, and I think it has more impact if we don't have it quite so often. But it would be good to be able to start planning for the end of year in 2026 with the council's endorsement of that.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to second the report. Point 3, endorse the committee's recommendations regarding delivery of the community carols and everything. I'm quite happy with that. I was one at the committee that was disappointed in not having an end of year spectacular this year, because that means that that's 2 years in a row we have not had one. I also raised some concerns at the committee regarding the overuse of markets in the community. So it's okay to have an end of year spectacular with markets up the street for late night shopping and encouraging businesses to be open late, etc., because that encourages economic activity going in between markets and shops. Whereas when we hold markets, we've got markets every month at the showground. We don't need continual supply, constant markets, because what it actually does do, it pulls shoppers away from our business district. It causes a bit of economic harm there, being from a family of market stall people, owners. I understand that stall owners want to hold markets, but sometimes we have to be mindful about the overuse of doing that and the impact it has economically with our businesses. Also, with the community services, I do hope as a council that we engage with our business owners and get them to come to the table to decorate, to turn Oberon, light up Oberon and turn us Christmassy, because the Christmas spirit is one of the most important things for the end of the year, no matter how low someone is. Just having something like that can be uplifting to individuals and families. So they're just a couple of my concerns, but I don't want to, of course, as it's noted through the report, have a scaled down version of carols in the common. I wouldn't want to have markets. I would just want to have a celebration in the common with a big Christmas tree. Let's go back to being Christmassy, basically is how I'd like to see it done. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden, thank you. Anyone else, please? Right, put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 12.3, Black Springs Community Hall Committee meeting, 19th of June 2025. The recommendation of the council received and note the minutes of the Black Springs Hall Committee held on 19th of June 2025. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Seconder, please. Councillor Lee, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, just one of the meetings, there's some discussion around the works that are going to be done in the storage room, and I know there's been a letter that has come through to council today as well about the conversation around a small creche in the old meeting room, playroom creche type situation, and I'm sure that will be discussed down the track. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Lee.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good meeting. There was a few maintenance issues there, but I sort of think council staff have got that at hand. That's been noted. The leak from the roof. I thought it was a very good meeting. The very spirited community out there, and we had a good chat. And I look forward to giving that any support I can.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Go to 13, reports for decision. 13.1 is investments policy. The recommendation is that council, 1, place the revised investment policy 2211 on public exhibition for 28 days and submissions to be invited to council during that period. 2, adopt the policy as presented if no submissions are received during the exhibition period. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, seconder, please. Councillor Trembar, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Yes. Agree with the recommendation. I've read through the policy. It seems fine. It needs to go on exhibition.
Thank you.
And I have nothing to add. We'll get submissions regarding it once it's on exhibition. So happy for the recommendations.
Any further discussion? Not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 13.2, corporate cards policy. The recommendation is that council, 1, place the place the revised corporate card and other cards policy 2117 on public exhibition for 28 days and submissions to be invited to council during that period. 2, adopt the policy as presented if no submissions are received during the exhibition period. I think in 1, from what is written, just delete the word "the" before the corporate card, as it doesn't read. It's not reading correctly. Okay, another motion, please. Noting that slight change. Councillor Graham, Councillor Trimbar, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Policy we just had a look at. It seems fine and it needs to go on exhibition.
Nothing further to add. Support the recommendation.
Any other comments on this matter? Not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. 13.3, closed circuit television policy 2142. The recommendation is that council, 1, note the submissions received during exhibition of the draft policy 2142 closed circuit television. 2, endorse the policy amendments in response to the submissions as outlined in the report. 3, adopt the final version of the policy 2142 closed circuit television. 4, publish the adopted policy on council's website and notify the community. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, second, please. Councillor Trimbar. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Looking at the submissions, I think they were useful sort of submissions and the policy's been adjusted according to those submissions. So I'm happy to endorse the policy.
Councillor Trimbar.
I'm nothing further to add.
Councillor Hayden. Oh, Councillor Hayden, then I'll go Councillor Trimbar. Okay.
So councillor.
Oh, right. So we'll go Councillor Hayden. Thank you.
Yeah, I won't be supporting the policy in its current form. I still have concerns around facial recognition in public spaces. I note that that the addition under guidelines has been updated. I still don't believe that we have enough safe measures in place around the facial recognition portion of the CCTV. We have to be mindful of that in public places, especially if there's dangerous situations of people seeking out to find someone under protection. And I will remain with those thought processes because it's something that we as a government organisation and a council should also be looking at what state government and federal government do in regards to facial recognition technologies, and we should be mindful of that. So I won't be supporting the policy in its current form. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will be supporting the policy, although I do still have some concerns. In particular, one of the questions I asked during the submission period, and it's on page 26 of my abridged version, where it talks about, will it be set up in such a way that it requires at least 2 authorised personnel to access the footage to avoid any person accessing it for wrong purposes. And I know that Councillor Hayden has mentioned that as well in a couple of days ago. The only reason I am prepared to support it at the moment is simply because of the response where it says that our current system does not allow that to happen. But I definitely think as soon as we do have a system that allows that to happen, it should happen. When it comes up for upgrades of the system, we do need to look at that. You might think, well, you know, if the only people with authority to access it are these senior people, and if we can't trust them, who can we trust? Well, I'm not going to go into details in open council, but there has been an incident at this council which would absolutely shock people, I'm sure. So, as I say, I'm not going to explain what that was, where it's open to the public, but that is what drove that comment in the first place. And I think it is essential that we try to get that brought in as soon as the technology permits it.
Absolutely. I'll ask the general manager to make a comment on that. So.
And the general manager may or may not be aware of the incident on the.
No, I don't think we need to talk about
Yeah,
the
no.
particular incident. I'm just talking about the general concern.
Yeah.
And whether down the track, if there are upgrades available that will prevent that, because obviously not, we're only going to look at usually this when there's a problem, i.e. something's occurred. It's not that every tape has to be looked at all the time, but I'll ask you to comment.
Firstly, thank you for the clarification about what you said. But we'll always look for those options when they become available, if they fall within our budgetary constraints, but I'm sure we're all aware that those sort of things are given when you're looking at this sort of space. So it was acknowledged that those things would be looked at. That's all.
Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With this policy, I would have thought the risk rating would have been substantially higher. It's always been a great concern to me, our CCT television units. And I've just got a couple of questions. How many sites have we currently got in place that are operating? How many CCT sites in total have we got? And then with the new policy, how many do we intend to have? It is an area of great risk, and we really need to be on the front foot.
I think there might be some confidentiality issues in relation to that, but we're certainly prepared to provide those details to you out of session.
And well, the last question is when is the likely time when our new CCTV will be in place?
So we have to take it on notice. So we'll have to take it on notice. Matt's not here at the meeting, but
It couldn't
Okay.
occur within.
sorry, we can't put any. We have to have the policy in place before we can actually have a CCTV going forward and the whole planning and everything. So that will be an evolve as a result of this policy, I believe.
Okay.
But as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, once we've determined, once the policy's up and we go to look at a provider or et cetera, it will have to come back to council again for approval, won't it?
Through the chair, we'll go through the procurement process.
We'll go through so it will come back to council then, and then if council needs further details on it, certain sections that may have to go under confidential.
And the final question then is, have we got the funds available in our budget to move forward with this?
Through the mayor, I believe there was some allocated out of the town improvement to undertake this project.
So
In the old residual town improvement levy, there was a certain amount. I can't recall the amount. No, I don't think Zoe or Gary can, General Manager Finance, Extempore can. But I do recall there was a certain amount allocated for it. I can't recall the exact figure, but it was, it probably won't cover the total cost, but at least it was a preliminary amount set aside for it.
Thank you.
That was the case, wasn't it, from my recollection?
I think it goes, people in numbers of what we were thinking for this project.
Oh, okay. It may actually encompass the total, but we were obviously looking at, also looking at maybe having some remote sites, and we were looking at synergies, you'll recall, between Main Street and remote sites. So we're using similar technology.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion, thank you. If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? All councillors except Councillor Hayden and Councillor Lee, is that right? Councillor Lee and Councillor Hayden are against the policy. Ready? Thank you. Go to 13.4, which is Communications Working Party. The recommendation is That council, one, note the findings of the communications working party as outlined in the report. Two, endorse the facilitation of a meeting between the Village Voice and local community groups, organisations, schools and sporting clubs to encourage participation and collaboration. Three, request a further report of the progress and outcomes of these actions be brought to council in 3 months. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Graham, thank you. Councillor Clembar, seconder, thank you.
The working party had a very efficient meeting and came up with those recommendations. The main one being this meeting between Village Voice and local community groups. The idea behind that is to put a bit of responsibility onto those local groups to actually provide the Village Voice with some information. It's no good just laying it all on the Village Voice. They're not going out there as journalists looking for reports. It's up to people in Oberon to provide the information so it can spread amongst the community. So that's the main part of that recommendation, I think.
Councillor Clembar.
Yes, it was a really effective meeting. We did follow on the why we were formed, because there were a gap in our communication. So this is a short-term plan, which is for 3 months, to see that we can address some of those key issues. And I think it will take us a good way forward. As Councillor Graham has indicated, it's about getting everyone involved in the Village Voice, providing content, making sure that getting distribution right, and then taking a look at it after that to see whether we can, there's more steps we could take. But I think that will go a long way to solving the issues that we have. And we're providing a paper to our community, which was one of the key issues that was missing. So we put that back in place, and now it's just to make sure it's distributed well and has good content in it from all of the community. It's a great meeting.
Councillor Hay.
Yes, I commend the working party for having these discussions, but I won't be supporting or endorsing the recommendations. The only reason is being constantly out in the community and having a lot of feedback, reading our all of our surveys and so on, and other surveys that are being done in other smaller villages. The main issue the community is having is they don't get the newsletter delivered to them anymore. They can go out and pick up the Village Voice at the news agents, but it's not targeting every householder. It's only available on a seat out at the hall, unless it blows all over the patio, as could be seen last night at Black Springs, or out at the veranda section out at Burriga. It's not delivered to every home. So that is the issue that this community of Oberon and surrounds having. They want communication from the council. They want communication from those councillors that they elected to speak for them, and the council to supply them a newsletter like they used to get. And that's what I keep hearing, and that's what keeps being said. So I commend the work on into this, but I don't support the recommendations for that reason, that the community has been crying out for having back a newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I do support the recommendations. To my mind, the main point there is improving the distribution, because that is what led to this review in the first place. Complaints from people who didn't get it or couldn't get it. And so I think that's the main thing we need to concentrate on. I was relieved to see that it was not recommending a return to the newsletter due to the impacts on staff time. And because we had just as many problems with distribution of the newsletter anyway, constant repeated reports of people simply not receiving it through the mail system. And I experienced that myself. I got a copy as a councillor, picking up with any other things waiting here, but I rarely got a copy put in my mailbox. So going back to that, I don't think would have solved that problem of people missing out anyway. So yeah, I just think that the main point is looking at ways to improve the distribution. Thank you.
I'd have a question of the working party. So whilst we may be addressing to some degree, issue in the Oberon Township and in our villages. For those, say, who are on properties or in remote areas where they were receiving a copy of the community newsletter, how is it, how are they going to get a copy of the Village Voice other than online if they're an older person? Because a lot of this issue came from older members of the community who are not maybe as IT savvy as the rest of us. How are we going to solve that problem with what's proposed here?
Yeah, I think that's probably a topic for the next meeting of the communications working party. We've certainly discussed it, but haven't come up with a great solution.
Well,
yet.
I'd certainly like it put on the agenda.
Yeah.
The other thing is one of an eminent persons of the community approached me about, since the Oberon review is no longer there, there's no obituaries. No one knows when there are, funeral services for elderly people and how they should attend. How that can that be addressed with the Village Voice, or is it going to be addressed some other way? Because people are not older people, again, often those are not IT literate, but even the Village Voice currently doesn't have anything about obituaries. It's sort of been lost.
That could be something that's negotiated with the Village Voice in the future.
Okay, if you could put that on
Put that on
as a
the
topic for those discussions.
Like with the funeral directors together.
And the other issue that has been raised many times is we have a number of community notice boards around, whether it's in the villages or whether it's over, whether it's down at the library. Are we going to be able to display a physical section of the Village Voice on those notice boards or something to make people aware?
You could, but it's only 4 pages of the Village Voice that relates to Oberon.
That's right. So I'm saying those 4 pages, maybe. I'm just trying to, I also appreciate, as Councillor Hayden said, the work that's been done. I still think there are a couple of areas, a certain number of areas where we're still not meeting our community needs in this regard. And it has been, as Councillor Hayden said it, and I think I'll let Councillor O'Connor speak in a minute, but it's a constantly something that's been raised with me. I know it's been raised with Councillor Hayden, as she's indicated. I think Councillor O'Connor is also going to say that it's been constantly been raised with him. So I think we need to, look at that area in a bit more detail. Sorry, Councillor O'Connor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Hayden and yourself for those comments. So we've got the 2 issues. We've got content, which, as Councillor Graham and Councillor Trimbath have summarised, there's going to be a group pulled together to address the content, and then with Councillor Tucker's comments are true, and yours that then we need distribution, and it may well be that hopefully we approach one option is to approach the Village Voice and get them to agree that an extract of the new improved content could be used and circularised by email and also possibly by mail or some other method. But I agree with you, it has to we have to cater for everyone, and otherwise it'll fall over again. So no, you're 100% right. We've got the 2 issues, content and distribution.
Thank you. So I think if that can be noted by communications working party, that'd be right. Any further discussion on this? You want to write a reply? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want you all to know we've had one meeting. Solve everything in one meeting, sorry. But now we have a full agenda. We'll try and address some of those other issues. Sure.
Thank you very much. All right, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? All councillors in favour except Councillor Hayden. Thank you. We go to 13.5, tendering method selection, construction of Abercrombie Road landslip remediation treatments. Recommendation that council nominate the open tendering method as prescribed in accordance with clause 166B of the Local Government Regulation 2021 of the construction of remediation treatments for slope failures at Abercrombie Road near Paling Yards. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Tucker. Thank you, Councillor
As
Hayden.
per the recommendation, nothing further about it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one related question is I wasn't entirely clear whether it's for design or construction or design and construction. That could be clarified. Design and construction.
Design and construction.
Thank you.
So I think if that's the case, I'll ask the mover and seconder, would you, I think after Local Government Regulation 2021, we put after to that for the design and construction of remediation treatments.
I'm happy with it.
I think it probably needs to include that. Yeah, it's up to you as acting in the position of director. All right, you're happy with that? Yep, that's right. Councillor Hayden, you're happy with that? Sorry. I'll go through. So after Local Government Regulations 2021 in the motion we proposed, I was suggesting it's a for the design and the construction. So add the words for the design and take out the word of.
Yeah.
Just to make sure it's for both.
Yeah.
And that's it's a minor amendment, but if you're happy with that, you're happy with that? Okay. Okay. Do you want to speak any further on this?
No, I'm happy with that.
Any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation with a slight change I proposed. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 13.6 Development Application 2025.033 -1 times meteorological monitoring mast 879 Mount David Road, Mount David. The recommendation is that 1, council approved development application 2025.033 for 1 meteorological mast at block 168 DP 753047 known as 879 Mount David Road, Mount David, subject to conditions contained with the report for the following reasons. A, the development is permissible under section 2.361B of the State Environmental Planning Policy, Transport and Infrastructure, 2021. B, the development complies with the relevant provisions of Part 0, Part O of Council Development Control Plan 2001, and C, the development is considered to be appropriate and will not impact the locality unreasonably. 2, the division be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. We have a motion, please. Councillor Hayden, second. Councillor Tucker, thank you. I just note that at the end of B, the comma should be for the and, probably should be a semicolon to be, and at the end of A, it probably should be a semicolon instead of a comma. I know that's pedantic, but I think it's probably correct. Are you happy with that? You happy with that?
You're a man after my own heart.
Thank you. But subject to this amendment. Okay. Councillor Hayden,
Yes,
just if you've got to wait till we propose on the second.
as per the recommendation, I won't go through a lengthy speech of why this is permissible and why we should be approving this. However, I would like to thank our planning department for clarifying the occupation certificate because no one is going to be living in it, okay?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. No one's going to be living where?
Number 17
Right.
of the conditions.
Yes.
So thank you for the explanation.
Councillor Tate?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, this is sort of a follow on from what we've dealt with over the last month or so. Almost identical. And I've supported this for the same reasons. It's not proving wind towers as such. It's just the mast as part of the investigations in the potential for that in the future. And they will be removed at the end. I assume the same conditions will apply about including removing the the footings, and so on that basis, I'm happy to support it.
If that's the case, voting director, will be subject to removal of footings. Through the chair, that's correct, yes. Thank you. Councillor Trimble?
Yeah, I'm happy to support it because it actually, we did do an amendment last time and now it's been assessed correctly, as per 2.36, and the planning director has just confirmed that what is under the ground will also be removed as part of the conditions, so I'm happy to support it.
I'd like to speak against the recommendation. I realise that it does fit the planning criteria, but I don't think we should be encouraging any further devastation to our area which related to any wind towers or alternate anything. I don't think we should be encouraging anything, so I'm totally against this project.
Councillor Leveris?
I mean, I'll also be opposing this application, not as a defiance of any process, but in defence of community expectations, you know, of LGA's appeal, livability, quality of life. And I think in essence, I think we must not dismiss general public concerns as well. Simply, ticking all boxes, is not good enough. I think our decision must not only uphold legal frameworks, but I think also reflect the hopes and concerns of people who call this community home. So let's not forget who have also elected us as councillors. So that's what I'm going to say.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? Councillor Connor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think any councillor who was at the meeting with Stromlo a few weeks ago would feel heavy-hearted and have a great weight on their shoulders. I know Councillor Tucker's comments that Councillor Tucker wasn't at the Stromlo meeting. It was badly described by him. It's only a meteorological mast. It was a terrible meeting. Stromlo performed very poorly, and I think they really haven't shown a great respect for our community. So I won't be supporting this either.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden, right reply?
Yes, I just want to remind councillors that we're under oath, under planning regulations. This isn't for wind towers. This is part of a contract for an employee who has won the rights under a tender. A meteorological mast is just a meteorological mast, and there's been 10s, 20s, 30s of them put up through this community over a period of years. I just want everyone to make sure, and also the comments regarding the Pines Wind Farm, I have got to say, they have been absolutely brilliant with this community. I will reject what the other councillor has mentioned, because I find that they have been respectful to the community associations that they've been engaged with. They have communicated according to the communication guidelines set out by the state government. They are open to coming to meet with this council and get bombarded and targeted with loads and loads of questions that really are unnecessary. And I've just got to say that they can't be faulted in their communication, and they can't be faulted in providing a met mast to see if the wind is sufficient and so on, and that's all I have to say.
Councillor O'Connor, we've had a right of reply, so I've actually can't allow you to speak at this stage. I have to put the motion. Do you hear that, Councillor Connor?
I did. I'm just disappointed.
Okay, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Councillor Trembath, Hayden, McKibben, Graham and Tucker. Against, we have Councillor Leveris, Councillor Lee and Councillor O'Connor. The motion carried. 13.7, is reclassification of land 52 Dixon Close and lot 21 DP 1304-306 for McCatton Close, Oberon. The recommendation is that one, council reclassify lot 89 DP 1238111, known as 52 Dixon Close, Oberon, and lot 21 DP 1304-306 McHatton Close, Oberon, for community land to operational land. Two, the division be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. I just point out, council, I've changed the first line, lot 90 to 89, because there was a typo there. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Tucker. Seconder, please. Councillor Cromwell. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just a procedural thing in order to give effect to what we decided previously, and on the process, I support it.
Straightforward. Support the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden.
Question,
Yep.
then I may have an amendment. I've looked at both of these maps and prior we had, the concern around the small section in the lot 89, 52 Dixon Close one, about being, put to operational land so it could be incorporated into that extra block. I'm just wanting everyone to zip ahead 20 years and you have a big subdivision out here and you have no green space and not, I mean, there's green space in its yards, but you have no community land that can be designated as a parkland or as a play area or as a meeting place where the residents' kids can go and kick around a ball. It's quite a walk for any child, should this get all built up, to go and find another park to go and play and so on. And I've always looked at developments and look at some of the recommendations that state when developments are being designed to keep community parkland and that in mind, because you can build a great big estate and build a whole heap of houses, and then when you've got all that, there is no green space left and there is no area that can be allocated as a parkland, whether it's just got a seat in it and it's just somewhere for people to have picnics. I'm just wondering about lot 21, the McHatton Close one, where it's got the laneway coming from the road and it goes down into the square, why we don't consider having that as a part of green space and a part of an area set aside that can be a designated park down the track, because we're making decisions now that maybe this in 10 years, 20 years will be a perfect fit at that point in time. And it just gives the opportunity. There's going to be houses there. The houses will come, the kids will come, and then there will be no space for them within that area.
Right, can I ask the general manager or the director?
Through the chair, this is purely to convert from a community to an operational land. Council's made no decision to sell any of that land. The Dixon Close one, council's resolved to do this through a lease arrangement, so we're not looking to sell it, we're looking to lease it. So I think that councils previously have looked at that to try and keep an element of ownership, being a lease rather than a sale. But in terms of the large residential lands, parkland isn't usually considered as part of that. The point's taken in 20 years that, and we've expanded that may be the case, but at no point are we looking to sell that land at this point in time. And the McHatton one being a drainage reserve, it was simply a matter of linking the two together because they were like for like. It's not proposed to be leased or sold at this point in time. And would need to be resolved by council.
Nothing. It's just, I wanted to put that out there because it's something that's significant down the track, that's all.
Any further discussion? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with councillor Hayden. I think we should be providing and looking forward to the future for as much open land where possible. So I think it's a very good idea for the future.
Any further, councillor Tucker, right to reply?
Thank you, Mr. Yeah, right, just to add to what others have said, I'd be very surprised if either of those blocks was particularly suited for parkland. That's not what they're there for. They're drainage reserves. I assume that on McCatten Close, I assume the long strip is not really a laneway. It's, I'm guessing, a channel that feeds water down into the dam. And yeah, where if you've got a dam for retention purposes, it would be very difficult to use that for parkland anyway. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
All right, I put the motion as per the recommendation with that change in point 1 from 90 to 89. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 13.8, policy 3113, street furniture. The recommendation is that council 1 endorse policy 3113, street furniture, and place it on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. 2, if no submissions are received during the exhibition period, the policy be adopted as presented. And 3, delegate to the general manager to amend any minor changes proposed. I think it should say to make any minor changes required. Is that right? To amend any minor changes proposed. Not quite correct. I think it should say delegate to the general manager the right
In order
to make any required minor changes.
Amend any more changes.
You don't amend the minor changes, you amend it to make minor changes. To amend the policy to make any minor changes, take out proposed. Happy with that? Sorry, could I have a motion? Thank you. Levers. Second it. Councillor Graham, thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Just a good policy to have and make our footpath safe, I reckon.
Yeah. Councillor.
Yes, I agree.
Yes, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a few comments or questions for the director. May or may not be able to answer them now, and it might be that I then need to make a submission during the exhibition period. But a few things I was a bit uncertain about. It says about requiring, in Oberon Street, requiring approval from Transport for New South Wales. I was a bit surprised about that because we were recently told in relation to another matter that Transport for New South Wales are really only interested in the carriageway and the villages are entirely council. So I'm confused about the discrepancy in that advice. Maybe we can take them one at a time if the director has any comments on that.
Through the chair, I might need to take that one notice. Which
and
Sorry,
Through the chair, they simply some different provisions of the Roads Act, but you make a damn good point. That is what Transport will say to us, but I absolutely agree with your comments.
The next one, talking about advertising signs and including flags and banners. I would suggest that we perhaps need a limitation of 1 per business and making sure that that one is located directly in front of the business that is putting it up. I know we have had a long period in the past where real estate agents were paying other businesses to put their sandwich boards, and one real estate agent might have had half a dozen boards dotted along the main street. I think we need to make sure that it's clear that that's not the intention and that's not what this is supposed to be permitting. I'm wondering, do we enforce the current policy? Because if it says no flags and banners and not in garden beds, well, I know we are seeing a number of flags and banners put into council garden beds. But then if we don't permit that, are we opening ourselves up for criticism when we do exactly the
We
same
do it
thing,
ourselves.
such as Christmas banners. So I'm not sure what the right approach would be.
Would it be temporary? Temporary, I think might be the word. So if they're up temporarily, they'd be permitted in garden, but
Yeah,
not if
but,
they're.
but people would say, well, mine are temporary because they are taken down every night. So, so I
Well,
think,
not on they're not in exhibition for any more than 2 week period or something.
yeah, so I think that might need a bit more thought and clarification in the policy.
Yes.
And also the bit about not having display of merchandise on footpaths. I know some shops like to put a rack of clothes or a tray of stuff out. And I personally don't have a major problem with that. I think it adds somewhat to the main street. So I think we need to be careful on how we word that. If we do want to totally prevent that, well, be aware of those consequences. And if we do totally prevent that, is that going to stop charities from having a raffle or a bake store or something like that? So that needs to be clarified as well. And that's all my comments.
Thank you. Could I ask Councillor Tucker if you could just put those in bullet points and send it to the general manager and to.
Well, if it goes on to commission, I can do that. But if there's enough there that the director or GM think we should delay it, then I'm happy to support a delay. I don't know if the director has any comments on any of those other points.
I think there was, from what I could hear up here, I think there was general agreement. Your points that they all need clarification.
Well, would it be better to do that before we put it on public display?
Yes. Yeah.
In that case, how about if I move an amendment that we defer this item to allow further review of the draft policy?
Or do you think that it would fall within 3 delegates to the general manager make any minor change?
I think some of these are more than just minor changes, potentially.
Is there a problem with referring this? No. Okay, seconded by Councillor Hayden. Amendment. You want to speak to it again, or you?
Well, I think I've said my piece.
No, I'm happy and I agree with what Councillor Tucker said. And we do actually have to look at some of the furniture that's put out onto the footpath because they can become trip hazards. I don't know whether many people here are aware of what happened in 1981 to 1990 when we used to have the great big concrete flower pots out in the main street and people tripping, hitting their heads. Signboards were all banned from the main street back in those days because people were getting injured. So we've just got to be a little bit more mindful.
Is that what?
Yeah, I'm happy with that wording, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hayden, you happy?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Oh, we're talking about the amendment at the moment, which is on the screen. Any further discussion on this? Well, I've put the amendment. All in favour of the amendment? Let's see. Frank, are you in favour of the amendment? Yes, I think you've got your hand up, have you? No. So all in favour except for Councillor O'Connor. So the amendment now becomes the motion. I put the motion, all in favour? Again, everyone except Councillor O'Connor.
And I'm happy to do the rest. I'm just noting those points.
Yes, thank you. All right, thank you. So no, so the amendment became the motion. 13.9, then the method selection for plant hire. Recommendations, council nominate the open tendering method as prescribed in accordance with clause 166B of the local government regulation 2021 for the hire of plant tender for 2025 to 2027. A motion, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Seconder, Councillor Tucker. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
As per recommendation of the day.
Councillor Tucker.
No further comment.
Any further discussion on this matter? Can I put the motion as per the recommendation? All in favour? Carried unanimously. Go to 14, reports for information. 14.1 is the monthly activity report, General Manager, July 2025. The recommendations report item 14.1 is received information. To move it, please. A motion. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Graham. As per the recommendation, Councillor Hayden. Thank you.
Yes, happy with that. Just, the question around the object MOU, I thought that was going to be at this meeting, I thought.
Yeah, through the chair, the council's now made some changes that he'd like to see, and it's provide them back to old government. It's just progressing through that. It shouldn't be too long.
Councillor, who was second?
You've now got
Yes,
any questions? Thank you for the report.
Any other questions in relation to this report?
Yeah, Mr Mayor,
Yes, Councillor O'Connor.
is it right to ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mr Mayor, through you, a question to our General Manager regarding the GPG meeting. The GPG meeting was a very good meeting. The takeout points for me were that, as they stated, a few statements from them, you can see the transcript, is that they're just following the normal procedure, which is, as with Stromlo as well, that similar to Stromlo, that they have contracts at foot. They sign farmers up, they sign landholders up, and so with both these projects, they're underfoot. And both these projects, as with GPG, if you look at our development control plan, there's not one requirement in our development control plan that they're complying with, whether it's GPG or Stromlo. So, you know, we have but Stromlo were game enough to say in their meeting that their project is best practice in their eyes, but in our community and council's eyes, it does not comply with not one requirement of our DCP. And I'd just like to ask our mayor, who did conduct a very good meeting, is there anything we can do to reach out and make these companies comply with our DCP, or even just communicate or discuss this with our community and council?
As you're aware, these are state significant. So both proponents are saying that they're complying with the relevant state government guidelines on wind farms. And as you're aware, Stromlo in particular has stated that that is what it will comply with, and that is what it's required to. So at this stage, we have made the governments and everyone aware of our DCP, and the proponents aware. But as far as I'm aware, we cannot force that DCP on them because of the fact that these are state significant. And
I understand that. But as a council, we have to hold them to account as often as we can to say that you aren't complying with one little item in our DCP. Every item that we require to be a good project, they're dismissing. We just have to try to hold them to account. And I think when it gets down the road, planning department does listen and does look at our DCP. So it really is important for them to start considering it. Thank you.
well, then what I suggest that we can do in our meetings is go through each item of relevant in our DCP and ask, could you please clarify, are you going to comply with this? Yes or no?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Levis.
Just in reference to the EOI, is there any indicative timeframe for exhibition?
Through the chair, on the version 3 now, I'm proposing to send it to the working party in the very near future for their for their, certainly for their viewing.
Yeah.
And then look to get it out as soon as possible after, the working party tell me whether we're on the right path.
This is the sports complex.
Yes.
I think just that in case people listening around, so, yes. I know there's been a number of comments back on it here. Okay, any further discussion on this matter? I take no update on the STP at this stage from either the treasurer or, I know that our project director is looking at a slightly different tact at this stage and will come back to us in the near future. Thank you. Anything else? Councillors? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to item 14.2 monthly activity report, planning and development, July 2025. The recommendation is that report item 14.2 is received information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Leverett. Was that you putting your hand up or coughing?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, as per the recommendation, thank the planning director for his report. And my ultimate question is, regarding the gym, has, anything been drawn up for policy yet?
Through the chair, I'm anticipating to bring that to the next council meeting
Thank you.
for consideration.
Councillor Leverett.
Yes, nothing.
Any other discussion on this matter? Right, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimous. At 14.3. The monthly activity report technical services from July 2025. The recommendations report 14.3 is received information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden. Councillor Graham, thank you. Councillor Graham, Councillor Hayden, sorry.
Yes. As per the recommendation, just, around the weighbridge. Around the weighbridge and, just disappointed that it wasn't fully functional on the 1st of July.
Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report. Nothing further to add.
Question, through to you, Jeff. I know page 59, we talk about wobble control works on Old Shooters Hill Road. One of the issues we've had is if we do mulching as described in the photograph below, wobble will be coming back at twice the intensity and much more benefit. So if we come to a means by which we can stop that occurring.
I'm going to have to take notice and look into it because I'm not sure what we're doing in regards to that.
And can you give us an update on exactly where we are with the weighbridge at the moment?
The weighbridge is functional,
Fully functional?
fully functional. There is a couple of issues we're having just in terms of getting the billing right, because the system has to be loaded onto our server, which we're unable to do just at the moment. So once that's done, we'll have full control over the billing. And so then there's just some works around signage and tidying up just to make it clear how it operates.
So if it's not yet integrated, if I can use that word, with our system, is that part of the scope of works for the contractor?
Yes. So that will be
Do we
happening.
have a time frame for when they're going to do that?
Possibly by the end of this week or early next week at the latest. Because they just have to load, we've got the software sitting on a standalone machine at the weighbridge now, and that just needs to go onto our server and define a administrator who can then adjust those rates and so forth. So it's really only a administrative function related to the cost of charging.
So. Okay, so if I can ask, are we having any issues with the sort of the transition period, as we call it, from volumetric to tonnage?
There's been a couple of payments that went where there was mistakes made, which were just what's the word, rejected out and redone. So it is all working now. And there's a little bit more training just in the admin of the computer system. But that's, once that's done, everything should be working absolutely fine.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, councillor Hayden.
Just to write a reply because
Yes.
I forgot to ask. The calibration of that weighbridge, what's the cost of that and how often's it got to be done?
I'd have to take that on notice. It was calibrated as part of the install. So the calibration at the moment is just fine. I'm not sure what regularity it needs to be calibrated at.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah,
I'll just come back
talking
to you.
past, past councils that have, weighbridges, they have to do it yearly.
Yeah.
Just wondering what the cost is gonna be.
Okay. No further discussion on this matter. I put the motion out for the recommendation. All in favour? Unanimously. We go to 14.4, monthly activity report, corporate services, July 2025. Recommendation is report item 14.4 is received as information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden. Seconder, please. Councillor Graham. Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, Matt's done a good job in his team putting the report together. Just to clarify, under the Youth Action Committee, the wording of what works, what doesn't, and youth wish list, it was what's good, what sucks, and wish basket. So, engaging with youth like to be engaged at their level. And, being in this, we did a wall, and it was a what sucks wall and a what's good wall and a wish basket. And kids jumped at the chance of being involved in that. So just a reference and, around how the wording is there, just, if we can just keep things worded, and I'm sure Zoe can relay this back to Matt as what it is on the day, instead of trying to, soften it, because when we're dealing with youth, we want to engage with them, not kind of soften or do a dictatorial type engagement. But it was a good session. The kids jumped at the chance, and it was extremely odd for kids to want Subway, which I thought they're either engaged with families who are very health conscious, or they are learning to be very health conscious. There was only 1 or 2 Maccas and a all you can eat Chucky burger, but other than that, it was pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the Youth Action Committee too. I think it shows great promise rather than having the Youth Council. So it was a good session.
Any further discussion? Councillor Levers.
Yeah, I just had a question around the event count. I guess the director of corporate services isn't probably answer that, but how do you determine the numbers of visitors that come in? Because you've got here merchandise sales are up 31%, tourism spend is up 14.2%. Is that done through video analysis or Wi-Fi or any idea?
I'll have to get
Yeah.
back to you on that one.
Figure
Apologies.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Councillor Lee, put your hand up. Okay. Put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 14. 14.5 grants update July 2025. The recommendations report item 14.5 received information, please. Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Graham. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to receive the the report. Is there an update to the ones that might have updates by now that were at the end of June, May? Is talking about the unsuccessfuls, but I think that's going to be a continuing focus throughout this term.
No one has.
No, it's not.
That's great.
That's great.
Any other discussion? Not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 14.6 investments, June 2025. The recommendation is the report item 14.6 is received information. For the motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Graham. Councillor Leverett, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's good to see that our interest rate is actually higher than what you might expect. Not so good for the people with mortgages, but we can take advantage of it. Thank you.
Councillor Leverett.
Yeah, nothing further.
Any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 14.7 status update, July 2025. The recommendations report 14.7 is received as information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Graham, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I'll just have some questions that I want to send through about a couple of items of that on the status report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's good to have the little updates along the way. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? So I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried, thank you. 14.8, carried unanimously. 14.8, question taken on notice at the previous meeting. Recommendations report 14.8 is received as information and the responses noted. I have a motion, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Tucker, thank you. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, I note the response that's been given. I did note, the question that Mr Mercer and the statement that Mr Mercer had made that he'd put forward. I'm just wondering whether the general manager could take on notice my request around Mr Mercer's concerns of the heritage trees, the heritage ornamental pines that were hacked away, and if you could at some convenient time have a look at them, because that is significant to the residents down there and to many of us from this area that know why they were planted, and they've been there for over 100 years, so they are quite damaged. So I would like a response in regards to that to Mr Mercer and myself, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Couple of quick comments. Firstly, in the response to Mr Mercer, I'm wondering if there's a bit of confusion going on, that it's talking about the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, and they deal with noxious weeds. But my understanding and his concern was not about noxious weeds, but that's general vegetation growth. So I'm just wondering whether that has properly answered his question, or whether it needs any further follow-up or
Clarification.
yeah.
Well, through the chair, a lot of it's one and the same. The noxious weeds are the things that are doing damage in road reserves.
So sure, in many cases that's true, but I don't think it's true in this case.
You think it was more the metre and a half we spray from the outside line of the
Oh,
road?
and beyond that as well. Yeah, but I didn't get the impression on the day that he was talking about noxious weeds. It was more larger undergrowth and visibility and refuge for kangaroos and stuff like that.
So it could have been bitty bush or anything.
It could have been anything, yeah.
And my response would be, we would love to do that, but we have a number of competing issues, as we're well aware, including our roadside veg plans.
And I totally agree, and I totally understand that we would all love to do more. My point is that I think the response that he's been given is a bit off track of what he actually asked.
Okay.
My other question is, I assume that we sent a written response to Mr Mercer.
So through the chair, if a question's asked, we respond through this process. So we haven't responded to Mr. Mercer.
Oh, okay.
Nor has Mr. Mercer has written to council, and we wanted, because it's publicly, we wanted to put a report.
So when we
together.
say we'll take that on notice, our method of doing that is to put it in the next business paper.
Correct, so
We do say that at the beginning of the meeting. Responses.
concern was raised about, well, how do we know if we're responding to those questions? So the decision was made to do as a report for information, so council are aware of the response.
Yeah, I thought the system was that we sent a written response to whoever asked the question, and then we would just get a copy of that written response in the next business paper.
So through the chair, a lot of the time, we don't get where people are in fact coming from, so it's a way of trying to keep it as public and open as we can.
Okay, that's all, Mr.
Just before, any other discussion on this matter?
Yeah, I just thought use the right of response just to address a section regarding this. The Mutton Falls Road, if I can push everyone's memory back a few months, remember when we were doing the roadside vegetation clearing down Mutton Falls to clear some of the trees and shrubs, etc. I can't remember the month that was in, but a lot of that vegetation that was meant to be removed is also the vegetation that was probably removed, thrown underneath the bushes, and which is causing some of that issue. And I think that was partly what he has been referring to. So where there has been some thinning and stuff, if we can somehow look at it, we need to remove it. If we're going to do it, we need to remove it from the roadsides as well. Thank you.
I know we've had a right to reply, but could I ask the gentleman to just maybe contact Mr. Mercer and just seek some clarification, maybe in relation to what he was talking about, what's left and what he was talking about.
We'll give you Mr. Mercer's and I'll take detail and more than that.
I'll forward them through.
You could send those through. Yes. Thank you. I put the motion as put the recommendation. All in favour? Yep. We go to 14.9, council expenditure report, financial year 24-25. Recommendations, report item 14.9 is received as information. Have a motion, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Lee, were you seconding? Yeah. Councillor Graham, thank you. Sorry. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to move this. I did want to ask, what's ICT?
Through the chair, there was a purchase of new laptops, to be provided as appropriate.
Okay,
Take good shot.
sorry, maybe expand it next time. I was hurting my brain a little bit. Thank you.
Councillor Graham.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mark and moderate things.
Councillor Trimber.
I'd just like to make a comment on the expenses, in particular the mileage claims. We've got a mileage cost of 10,694, and I'm not sure everyone realised that equates to over 13,000 kilometres. 13. I don't understand how we have this many kilometres when I know there are councils who do not claim any travel expenses. We put the policy on exhibition in April and increased the mileage allowance to 15,000, which would equate to over 18,000 kilometres. And I'm not asking for it to be changed, and all claims made are allowable under the policy. However, I have never claimed, and I know there are many councillors who do not either, but what stands out to me is claiming to attend meetings that are part of your role as a councillor, like the meetings tonight and various other council meetings, such as informal briefings and extraordinary meetings. There is an expectation to attend council meetings as part of the role, and we're paid a monthly fee to perform our civic duties. We have community groups who, volunteer, and they're not getting paid to do anything, not being paid to cook the cakes and come into the street and raise money. But the community will get insights into this when the annual report is made publicly available and ongoing with the 6 monthly reports. But I think when the policy is reviewed again, and I know it's currently not till 2028, but we may need to rethink that, there should be more rigour, as in perhaps a cap for each councillor or what is covered. If each council was using this policy as it stands, literally claiming for everything, every time they put their key in the car and opened up the logbook, we'd have travel costs in excess of $30,000, just as a very rough estimate. So we're asking our ratepayers to pay higher rates, high fees, and the optics of these travel expenses are not good. The money could be better spent on, for instance, playgrounds, something like that. I just want people to be aware that, it's not everyone at this table that is doing this. You don't become a councillor other than for community service. And we do get paid. So it's just something that jumped out at me. And when you just see a little number, it says $10,000, break it down, and it's a lot of kilometres. And we're not Paul Toole and Andrew G traversing large electorates. It's Oberon. That's just my comment. I'm finished. Thank you.
Councillor O'Connor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to clarify. I might have got somewhat confused with it. At the 30th of June 2025 financial statements will provide a report summarising each councillor's council payment and any travel allowance, any professional development. So those line items there, they'll be apportioned per councillor, so that for transparency and for the community, they'll be able to see in terms of each councillor what they've received. Is that correct?
In the annual report, I believe it is, Councillor O'Connor.
Yeah. So for each councillor will be able to see how many meetings they attended, and then financial remuneration they receive, whether it's professional development, whether it's stationery, whether it's mileage claims, general expenses. That's great, because that was my understanding. And just with that, the travel allowance, I just, by definition, the travel allowance is travel in the course of employment, not work to home. So it's not covering travel allowance isn't really for me to be paid on work to home or home to work. It's for conferences, local government meetings, etc., of which you would bear the majority of those expenses. In terms of the definition, even the tax office, they see travel allowance only in the course of employment. They don't allow travel expenses to be claimed for work from home to work or work to home. So it's important, I think. I mean, becoming a councillor is always my understanding that, that's, we get an allowance, we get a salary, we're an employee. But in terms of travel, I find it a bit, it just seems a stretch that some or few of our councillors are claiming a travel allowance. And as Councillor Trembart said, if we all did it, it'd be a very significant figure. And I think maybe we need to reflect on that. Thank you.
We're just referencing the travel policy and what the wording says. I don't believe it's the same as the taxation office.
No, I didn't say it is, but it's really, particularly in times like this where it's very tough. I mean, as Councillor Trembart said, we're working for the community here, and there's sort of a judgment issue, really. We can always go back to definitions, and all I was trying to allude to is that we're going from home to work, and whether each of us should really reflect whether we should be asking for money for that.
Right. Any further discussion, Councillor Hayden?
Reply. Yeah. Look, I understand that some councillors might not claim their travel. I claim travel. I'm happy to claim travel. I know Councillor McKibben would be claiming travel, and any councillor that takes their role extremely seriously would probably do that. We're not employed. We're not.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I take my role seriously. I take my role very seriously. And that shouldn't be the pretext on whether or not you claim an allowance.
Okay, I'll withdraw that statement and I will continue
Yes.
that, what I'm trying to allude to is that as a classified small rural council, we have a large LGA, which is probably a lot bigger than some areas in some city councils who get paid 5, 6, 7, 8 times the amount of what councillors here get. I find it, I don't know what word I can use, not rude, but I find it probably judgmental that some councillors may not wish to claim travel, and that's entirely up to them. If councillors wish to claim their travel, that's entirely up to them. I know I claim travel to certain things. I've been catching trains to Sydney now, so I don't even claim travel to the train station. But we are not employed. We are 24 hours a day elected officials of the governing body. So we don't get to drive to and from work. We have work at home. We have work here. We're constantly there. We're constantly judged. We're constantly attacked. We're constantly there in the public eye. We actually don't get very much remuneration or allowance for the time factor and the role that we have, because every decision we make through these business papers, we're legally liable, every single one of them. So should someone want to complain to ICAC or an ombudsman or Office of Local Government, we have to understand that when we move and second reports, we're placing our name onto something that we have to be held accountable to. And as councillors, we have to hold the staff in council or the general manager accountable to decisions that we make. But yes, there might be some that don't want to claim stuff. Don't claim it if you don't want to. I don't claim my telephone and my computer, but it costs me a damn lot of money to actually hook up to it and keep an eye on business. And when you don't have your internet because it's playing up, it's extremely stressful because you're running around trying to find service to make sure that you're not pulled in a meeting or there isn't a late report. So if the public, and I've heard the public say, you don't get very much for the role that you're doing or for the job that you're doing. So I quite happily will claim the travel that I need to claim, and I'll quite happily claim what is relevant for my role. And those councillors that choose to, good on you, and those who don't, good on you too.
Okay. I'll put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. There's no urgent business this evening. Following matters are considered confidential and referred to a confidential section of the meeting. Assessment 1235764 write-off request, rates write-off request. In view of the General Manager under section 10A2 of the Local Government Act 1993, that matter is considered to be confidential and should be dealt with in the confidential section of the meeting. I'll have someone to move this into confidential, please. Councillor Levers, seconder, please. Councillor Layton, thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Thank you. We close. Thank you.
One item, and the recommendation that was carried, the council do not write off the legal fee assessment 1235764 and offer a payment plan instead. Thank you. Close the meeting. Thank you everybody for attending.